Mr. Laria, are you gonna just sail broadside? He is. Oh, that's nice dispersion too. Wow. Yep. Okay, we'll take it. Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're taking a look at the Devastation, super British battleship, of course, continuing from the Conqueror line. A lot of HE spam there, but AP is pretty good here too. 419mm main guns, solid pen, and of course you get 16 of them. The HE though, probably the bread and butter of this ship. What we're used to, it's nearly 14,000 alpha damage, plus the fire on that poor Hanover. 16 guns here is pretty good for consistency out of this ship. It's only got 1.7 Sigma battleship dispersion, but as we've learned from ships like Colombo, 16 guns does a lot of heavy lifting here. Oh, is that a damage control, Mr. Hanover? In front of us? Oh, no. Yeah, we're going to farm a lot of damage off this poor guy. It's crazy, the HE potential of this ship, but it's surprisingly tanky too. I found that with this super heal, unsurprising, 55,000 HP every time you click the T button is pretty crazy. Although 32mm of armor everywhere, above water citadel, and you do have to give some broadside to use all these main guns, means you have to be a little careful at those closer ranges. But Devastation is absolutely crazy. It's been years, actually, since I've played it, so it was kind of nice to play it again, although it's maybe a little too good. Although I say that with basically all of these super ships, especially fighting some poor tier 9s, as we will do throughout this video. Oh, Wargaming, it's just not fair. These poor tier 9s have no chance. But it's literally been years. September 15th, 2023 was my last video on Devastation. Can you believe it? So we're going to be playing some more of these super ships over the coming weeks to get an idea of what they're like still, how strong they are, as there's an Italian super battleship that they're in testing right now. Want to get a little refresh on how the rest of these super battleships feel. And I must say, given the alpha damage potential of the HE on this ship, what is 16 sap guns gonna look like? Well, we know what Colombo is, but they're 406s on that one. Yikes. But that will be for a future video when they eventually do release that one. If you're interested in Devastation, it is a very, very good battleship. We have a few like this at super ship tier. The Devastation and main are basically just more HP than their tier 10 counterparts, and add a gun to each turret is almost what they are. But that is a lot of extra firepower. Devastation and main are both incredible battleships. And while main is a little tankier, probably, you shouldn't be afraid to push up in your Devastation. Yeah, there's a large repair bill on the end of each battle with these super ships, but that doesn't change depending on if you were sunk or not. So you may as well push up, try and make something happen here, because at closer ranges, these guns go absolutely incredible. The AP here is actually short fuse AP, so you've probably heard me complain from time to time about broadside cruisers getting away with only taking overpens. Well, it'll happen a little bit less with something like the Devastation. 0.015 seconds of fuse timer is about half of what we normally see. 0.033 is normal AP fuse times. So it helps a lot against some of those lighter cruisers. And just the ability to swap back and forth. HE, AP, you want gun feeder. You also want to be angling in. If you're going to try and brawl, we bounce some of those severe shells, but we'll see a little later where I don't do such a good job and get absolutely punished for it. It's a very exposed above water citadel, which I am all in favor of, by the way. Devastation is more of a burst tanker. You don't want to be out in the open for too long with this ship. We've used up our super heal now. We've dealt with the Sibir's damage, but it's another minute until we can get our next super heal. There's a lot of damage incoming, so we may as well get behind that island. That's what I'm always looking for with Devastation. A lot of battleships, right? We talk about brawling, taking 1v1s, isolating fights. We should be looking for that in every ship, to be honest with you, if we're trying to play aggressive. But especially here, because 32mm of armor, it's not great armor at tier 8 for a battleship anymore. It's even less so at super ships tier. So we got to be a little bit careful. We really rely on that incredible amount of healing. Nice consistency there into that Ven. And now, yes, the intro clip. Laria broadside on, 9 kilometers. These are the surely opportunities, right? 16 guns does a lot, but that dispersion is outlier, I would say. Given that I played quite a while with this ship. I think 2.5 hours, something like that with this ship. That was one of the better dispersion salvos that I was actually able to see. Most of them, well, looked a little bit more like this one, unfortunately. Goliath also has a very exposed broadside, large citadel, and 1.7 Sigma battleship dispersion might not be the most consistent thing. We get a citadel. It is still 30,000 damage. It's still very good, but with broadside Goliath, I was hoping for a little bit more. Now to brawl a Hawaii, actually. AEP, he knows about it. That's a little bit scary. So burst tanking. He's going to do a lot of damage to us, but we're going to try and time up our heal so we get full value. Look at how much damage he's doing so quickly. Very sad I didn't get a citadel on him. Broadside Hawaii at close range. Full pens, it was there, but for whatever reason, they did not make Hawaii's citadel that easy to hit. But check it out. We use our super heal now, and even against Hawaii DPM, that HP bar is actually going up. And my teammates should help us out against him as well. Very nice, but we can't sustain that sort of damage for too long. So most of the time, you've probably seen Devastations in your games, farming from the back line, pre-kited, and I won't lie, it's very good in that role. Just spamming HE, don't care about the angling. You got over 100 millimeters of pen with this HE, so you're doing full pens basically everywhere. The fire chance is over 50%. That is very, very hard to argue with. But I have a little more fun when I can get up close and hit a main for 40k. Oh no, he is loaded though, and we're pretty broadside on to him. So if we got 40k, how much is he going to do back to us? Oh no. Aim bugs clearly don't exist. Wargaming surely does not need to work on their game engine. Poor guy. Okay, he got another salvo. I'm able to fire all my guns, so I'm vulnerable to citadels. Nope. Poor guy. I feel for you, Mr. Main. I feel for you. That hurts. That absolutely hurts. I got away with one here that I absolutely should not have. If you're able to fire all of your guns with Devastation, you are vulnerable to eating citadels at these closer ranges. Certainly from a ship like Main. But we will finish him off with HE. Poor guy. That hurts. I wouldn't blame him for calling it for the day. I certainly would be tempted to do so. Now these super heals, we do get 3 of them base. But if you're running Cunningham plus all of the healing skills, you can get up to 6. You can double that healing amount. Now, you're not always going to get the full amount of that healing, but 6 heals is potentially what you can get on a Devastation through 2 kills with Cunningham, as well as the 4-pointer skill that just gives you an extra heal base, and 2 million potential damage. That's a 3-pointer skill. 2 million potential damage, pretty easy to get in a ship like this one, especially if you misplay by going directly bow in. We're going to survive, but only just barely survive. This is not how you want to be playing this ship, but we want to see what it's like to push up and support our team. I wouldn't recommend you play like this. I do think this was a bit of a misplay, but I wanted to help out the Des Moines that is deciding to play the game here. And we're gonna struggle to survive here. What I should have done is pushed up with him, but been a little better angled on the island, perhaps, cutting off line of fire. There's a smoked up Des Moines, there's a Conqueror, there's a carrier here. We probably should be trying to limit who can shoot at us. This is the big mistake here. Sometimes there is just a small positional error that makes the difference between your ship taking very little damage and you able to apply a lot of pressure to a cap and a key area of the map, and everyone being able to focus you and you're dead. This is hard to describe and hard to explain for every single battle because, again, it's the best part about Warships is that every battle is different. It's the same maps, similar ships you're fighting against, but the situation changes all the time. But this is an example of where I make a pretty critical error, and had I been a different angle and maybe a 1 grid square over or a little closer to this island, anything like that would help me survive this so much easier. Notice we're also only using our front guns here. We're still going to do great damage, but sometimes this is what you'll have to do to try and survive these scenarios. But that heal comes back relatively quick, and it does heal back 75% pen damage. So this is something we talk about when it comes to super heals with Salem. Played that ship recently. Doesn't heal back too much pen damage, and that's why the super heals sort of run out of gas towards the end of that third heal, second or third heal. You're not getting full value out of it. But here, given that we heal back 75% pen damage, it's pretty easy to get full value, or mostly full value, out of these heals. A lot of HE damage, fire damage, 100% healable. And Citadel repair, though, only 10%. So if you take Citadels, that is going to hurt, as well as torps on your torp belt. You don't heal very much of that back either. And I think this is really what sets Devastation apart as a super ship. It's not just a worse main or something like that, or just a Conqueror with one more gun per turret, but worse dispersion. The Sigma value is a little bit worse reload as well compared to a Conqueror. What sets it apart is your ability to play with your HP pool. There's a lot of buffs that play around with HP, taking fires, that kind of thing, that you can abuse here with Devastation. Adrenaline Rush, pretty self-explanatory. The lower we are, the faster our guns are reloading. But you can do a ton of fun things with Furious buff, where for that first fire or flood you eat, it's 10% faster reload on your main guns, and every fire or flood after the first one, it's another 5%. That stacks up pretty quickly. And usually that is not something that you're actually able to take advantage of on most battleships because you just simply lack the healing. Not really here. Certainly one fire ticking is no big deal on something like Devastation. Got very lucky here that the Conqueror's final salvo did not light us on fire. But we'll take it. We'll take it. But that extra DPM is really fun to make use of. Of course, Cunningham as well. If we get something like a Witherer, yeah, it's a DPM buff yet again. So all these things can stack up and make Devastation quite interesting to play, even if it is just an HE spammer. And I think you have to force yourself to play it in a little more interesting way. Okay, if you enjoy sniping at the back of the map, pre-kited HE spam, go for it. I find that to be quite boring. I don't really enjoy that. So for me to get enjoyment out of Devastation, I really enjoy playing around with its HP pool and messing around, trying to push the limits of how much AR I can make use of, how many Furious buffs I can actually make use of here. And I had a good time with it, honestly. Like I said, 3 years since I've actually played this ship. Wasn't sure how it would go. Oftentimes, again, I see them at the back line so often, pre-kited sniping. I was a little worried that given how the power creep is gone over the last 3 years, 5 years, I mean, Devastation was always very good. It's not like it was going to be bad, but I was a little worried that I wouldn't be able to push up quite so much and try to push the limits of what this ship is capable of at the mid and closer ranges. Fortunately, that was not the case. The healing here is still absolutely insane. Though, most likely, if you're interested in this kind of playstyle, main would be better, okay? I hear you. If you've already commented that, main would just do this better. Maybe, probably. Main does not have the super healing, but it does have a little bit better armor these days, and those guns are a little bit more accurate. In this case, the reason we actually didn't get Citadels there, outside of maybe we just didn't hit his Citadel, it's so short fuses. That shorter fuse time means that we arm on the Des Moines bow there. We do overmatch that. We arm, though, on that, and the shell explodes before it even reaches the Citadel. So probably I should be just shooting HE here, which I'm not a huge fan of that feeling, but we're going to try and make use of AP. This was towards the end of my play session. I'd already shot a lot of HE. We've seen what the HE could do. I wanted to just try a little bit more armor piercing. Des Moines doing a good job of shooting AP when we give him enough angle. This is why we can't just stay at one angle. We do need to go bow into him. And that super heal keeping us alive, though he's doing a lot of damage to us. That's a triple fire. Don't want to damage control things too soon. Left him on essentially 0 HP, and our secondary lit a fire. The secondaries are not good here. We probably would have finished him off anyway with our main guns, but still, I'll take the RNG luck on those secondaries. And now we're left with a single heal remaining. Notice I ran out of heals there. That was the last heal I used against the Des Moines. Fortunately, though, getting that second kill with that Des Moines allowed me to get one more heal, which may or may not matter into the late game here. Our team is doing a pretty good job of things. But it's nice to have some of those extra heals. I wasn't making use of them in most games. A lot of the games, you're not going to make use of them. But these closer battles, the ones that I enjoy so much, oftentimes I do feel like I need that extra little bit of healing to get things over the line. And so that's why I usually will take those skills. We'll talk about the commander in a little bit here as we're about to finish up this game. But I want to point out one mistake I'm going to make here against this main. One is he's angled. Why am I shooting AP? I should have swapped over to the high explosive. Really, only shoot AP when you get a perfect opportunity for a broadside, upper belts of battleships, as well as just ships that have vulnerable exposed citadels. It's worth using the AP, but otherwise just shoot the HE. It is so much better. The other thing here is that he's on such low HP, our front guns can kill him, okay? This is not a situation where you should greed for your rear guns. We don't have any healing remaining, and yeah, we got a lot of HP. We got 50k HP still. But main guns are pretty good. And this is what should have happened for our poor main in the previous clip, yes. We should have eaten so much more damage. That's what's supposed to happen when at closer broadside, closer ranges, we give enough broadside to shoot all of our main guns. Should not have done that, and unfortunately, we're not quite going to reload in time to actually catch out this devastation. But our team will win this one for us. So super ships are extremely powerful, very expensive to run, obviously, but for that credit cost for repairing your ship at the end of battle, you get to play as, I mean, it's at least 2 tiers above tier 10s, I would say, in power level. And while devastation doesn't sound like that on paper, the amount of extra healing you gain, tankiness, survivability, consistency you gain out of the main guns and that improved HP pool, I think it does elevate it quite substantially over something like Conqueror. Even though Conqueror is still a good ship, but I still see Devastation as significantly stronger. And oh man, those poor tier 9s gotta fight against this. You're paying for it. Again, you're paying for it a huge amount in the credits. Like, we're losing credits even on that E game. We are losing credits there while playing with a premium account even. So very expensive to run these, but for that privilege, Wargaming lets you play overpowered ships, okay? Especially, it doesn't matter the class, okay? I can go on and on about subs, carriers, super carriers are especially egregious, but it's not just them in this case. Super ships are such a massive step up over tier 10s that tier 9s really shouldn't have to fight them. And a lot of those poor tier 10s even, like, honestly. But anyways, onwards to our build here that I was running. Yes, pretty greedy. I swapped things around a little bit towards the end, and I kind of wish I had the extra heal, to be honest with you, in that last game. But I actually, instead of going improved repair party readiness and emergency repair specialist, I went for conceal. That's more of a standard build, I would say. In fact, more than likely, you should not be taking super heavy AP because we're shooting HE most of the time, but I got it in my head that more damage, more better, as well as this is buffing our Furious. Okay. You got to really squint. You got to look really, really closely at this, but this is a buff to Furious. Furious says whenever there's a fire or flood, you get faster reload, right? What if we make those fires and floods last a little longer? That is more reload. That's not a reason to take this skill, by the way. But that's kind of how I was looking at it, I suppose. It's very not a good way to play. It's very risky, but it's kind of fun to try and push your luck when it comes to how much damage you can eat and get buffs because of that. Gunfeeder, please take... I know most people will just spam HE out of this ship, but please try Gunfeeder. I'm begging you here. Try the AP every once in a while. It's actually pretty good, man. It's actually pretty good. 16 guns, short fuse AP. It hits pretty hard. Grease the gears, though. I really, really did want grease the gears. I have played with this skill in the past, and honestly, the 40% consumable cooldown with this healing is wild to pass up, especially for me. You know me, I love this skill, but the turret traverse is just so slow without grease the gears that I found myself really needing that one. And to be honest with you, if you're dying in between super heals, you probably miss position. I'm talking to myself mostly here, okay? I'm talking to myself mostly. The times that I was dying in between my super heals when I had plenty of heals left, it's because I was mispositioning, okay? That straight up skill issue in that situation. But it is nice to have that skill can bail you out from time to time. Here are the upgraded modules that I was running. Pretty standard stuff here. I mean, nothing really too crazy to speak of outside of maybe damage control party. Main armaments, they are a little squishy. I noticed they got knocked out from time to time, but now that we don't have permanently destroyed modules anymore, excellent change they made a little while ago, it's a lot easier to just take the damage control duration. It's really nice to have that extra immunity time. Getting up over 23 seconds feels pretty nice on a battleship. And then here is your armor layout. Yeah, 32 everywhere, large superstructure. I mean, a little bit of icebreaker here, so you don't get bow sit by all the 32 mil overmatch that we have at super ships tier is pretty nice. But yes, that is an above water citadel. Not that far above water, if we're being honest with you, but it is above water. For Wargaming's game design, modern game design, this is a very exposed citadel. Maybe, not like Edgar, okay, not like Edgar citadel, which is like this, you know. That's a little more exposed, but considering the vast majority of the battleship design, cruiser design, it seems like they are submerging these. So nice to see above water, but it is a downside that will have to worry about when playing this ship. But Devastation is great. Happy to take a look at it again in the last 3 years, not playing too many of these super ships. Turns out it's more fun to play the game when you have such a busted, overpowered ship. Who knew? Looking at you, ship requests. No, it's fun. It's fun to play a challenge at times, but it's also nice to play a ship that is just very, very good. It's a lot easier to have a good time. But let me know what you think. Any comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. Of course, we are going to take a look at a bunch more super ships over the coming weeks as, again, I really haven't played most of these super ships in a very, very long time. So it's about time we take a look at some of them again. Thank you very much for watching and have a great rest of your day.